Want a bracelet that's as fun and easy as a summer Sunday? Let's scoop one up, bead style. Hey there, I'm Dina. I'm a pharmacist and a jewelry maker who started creating as a way to de-stress, and now I teach others how to do the same. In today's tutorial, we're using beads from the ice cream shop Bargain Bead Box to make a memory wire bracelet that's full of sweet color and texture. I've also linked the extra seed beads I used down in the description, so if you want to follow along, you're all set. Alright, so let's get started with our memory wire bracelet. So I have my memory wire out. We're also going to need our bail making pliers or some sort of round nose pliers if you would rather use that. This is how I always end up doing my memory wire at the very beginning. I'm going to show you how to do that now. My bail making pliers are a 6-step bail making pliers, so I always use the second step here. So go ahead and put your memory wire in between your pliers, and then I always rotate inwards. Some people rotate outwards. I just tend to rotate inwards because sometimes if I rotate outwards too much, I might break the memory wire. I've done that a couple of times, so I always rotate inwards, which is kind of with the bend of the memory wire. Now, as you can see, or hopefully you can see, there is the end of the memory wire is facing upwards on the loop, and that's where you want it. I'm going to go ahead and put the pliers back in the loop. I'm going to put the first step of the pliers up against the edge right there, so that way the second step's inside the loop, the first one's up against the edge, and then I'm just going to bend backwards just ever so slightly, so that way it kind of creates a little bit of a right angle look there to make it look more like a shepherd's hook type thing. And then that's how I always start off my memory wire bracelets. So now with that being the case, now we can get into the first pattern. So let me get down to the other end of the memory wire here so I can find the starting point. There we go. And then this will be the first pattern. Oh, I need to pull it up real quick on my screen so I don't tell you the wrong thing. There we go. There it is. Made myself little notes this time. Alright, so we're going to start off with a kiwi jasper. So these things are so cool. I love these things. They're so pretty. I mean, not only does it look like chocolate chip ice cream or mint chocolate chip ice cream, they're just pretty. They're nice stones. Alright, so we're going to start off with that. So we'll have a kiwi jasper. Then we're going to do a round spacer. And then we're going to work on our seed beads. We're going to put on an 8-0, a 15, no, 8-0, 11, and then a 15. So you're doing basically a decrease. I'll say that quite a bit. We'll do a decrease and an increase. So this is the decrease over here. Then we're going to do our increase. So we're going to do an 11 and an 8. So then that's the middle section. And then we end up with another round. So that basically is the first part of our memory wire bracelet for this one. So this is going to be our pattern. So we would do, I'll do one more pattern with you. We're going to do a kiwi. I'll do this one faster. And then a round spacer, an 8, an 11, a 15. Hopefully they don't go flying around your mat. Then 11, and then an 8, a round spacer. And that is 2 rounds completed on this first part of the memory wire. Now I'm going to end up using a total of, was it 10? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 of the kiwi jaspers. That's why I have 10 of those sitting out right now. I'll end up doing a total of 10, which means that I'm going to start off with a kiwi, and then I'm going to end with a kiwi. So then your very end will have just your next kiwi sitting here, and then come back and I will show you that middle section, which will be a slightly different pattern. Alrighty, so here is how your memory wire bracelet should be looking at the moment. So it's very minty colors with a little bit of hint of peach in there. So now we're going to add our peaches. So our next pattern is going to be using the fire agate rounds, which are these, which kind of look like peach ice cream in a way. So really liking these beads, this bead selection this month. It's pretty fun. Alright, so this pattern we're going to start off with one of the rounds. So in this one, on the last one we started and ended with a kiwi jasper. This one we're going to start and end with one of the stainless steel rounds. Then we're going to do an increase decrease again. So an 8, 11, a 15. Then we're going to go backwards, 11 and an 8. So that's similar to the last pattern that we did. And then this is where it's going to differ. So we want to add one of our flower spacers, but we're going to add it in a way to where here is the spacer upside down, upside down like this. So that's the inner part of the spacer, and then this is the outer part of the spacer. We're going to add it to where the inner part of the spacer is going towards the seed bead. So basically the spacer bead, the flower spacer, is going to be hugging your 8-0 seed bead right there. Then we're going to add one of our rondelle spacers. And then this is where one of our fire agates come in. We're going to add one of those. Then we're going to go backwards. We're going to add a rondelle spacer. We're going to add one of our flower spacers again. Now this one is going to be hugging the 8-0, so it needs to go on in this direction, in that way. And I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. Then we're going to go our increase, decrease, increase again. So 8, 11, 15, 11, and 8. And then we end up with our spacer bead. And then that is the way, if I can get it to focus. There we go. That is what it's supposed to look like. So you have a spacer bead, your 8, 11, 15, 11, 8. Then you have one of your flower spacers right there. So it's kind of just poking out a little bit. And then you have your rondelle spacer. Then you have your fire agate, the rondelle, the flower, 8, 11, 15, 11, 8. And then that's actually starting the next round. So that would be your first round of your next pattern. So I'll do it one more time. So I already put the round on there. So now we're going to go our decrease increase. So 8, 11, 15. Do your increase, 11 and 8. Then we're going to add our flower spacer to where it hugs the 8-0s. We're going to put on a rondelle spacer. Whoops. A fire agate, a rondelle spacer, put on one of your flower spacers where it's going to be hugging the 8-0 again, so it's kind of going the opposite way that you would think that it would be going in. Then we're going to do our decrease increase, be 8, 11, 15, and then 11, 8, and that is round number 2 done of this pattern. And then that's the way it looks. So there is that pattern. We're going to do this a total of 7 of our beads, of our agate beads, and then like I said at the very beginning, make sure you end up with one of your round spacers. Then meet me back and we'll do a short refresher on that first portion of the first pattern of the portion of the bracelet. Be back in a second. Alright, so this is the way your bracelet should be looking at the moment. So here's round 1, or the first pattern. There is the second pattern there for you. That's the end of that one. And so always make sure, like I said in the last clip, make sure you're ending with one of your round spacer beads. Okay, so pattern number 1, just to recap really quick, is going to be a kiwi, always start and end with your kiwi. Then we have a round spacer. Then we do our decrease, increase again. 8, 11, 15. Then your increase, 11, 8. Another spacer. And then that is a refresh on the first portion of the round. So go ahead and add your last 10 beads of your kiwi in that same pattern that we did on the first part. Push all your beads down to the end of your memory wire and then come back and I'll show you how to cut it off and then finish it off. And then we're going to add a cute little cherry charm that came in the kit as well. So we'll be back in a second and I'll show you how to do all that. Alrighty, so this is how your memory wire bracelet should look now. So we've got round 1. There is the second round for round pattern 2, and then round 1 again for pattern number 3. Alright, so once you get all of your beads all pushed down to the very beginning down here, just make sure that your beads are tight, but you don't want them so tight that they can't like twirl around. If you're doing this and they are so incredibly tight and they're not moving that well, then you need to loosen up just a little bit down here at the on the other side. And that's just to keep your beads from breaking and all while the bracelet's being worn. So once you get your beads all pushed down to where you want, this is how I measure how much of room that I need in between this last bead and the amount that I need to cut off in order to make another loop on the other side. So get your memory wire cutters out. Must use memory wire cutters with your memory wire because your normal cutters will get ruined if you don't use memory wire cutters because of the memory wire being so tough. So I must use the memory wire. Alright, so once you get everything down there, I've got my finger just sitting there because I already know that this is the width that I need as far as to cut off. And then that's how I measure it. So I put it up to my finger just like that. And then I cut off right there. And I just know from experience that's about the amount that I need. Sometimes it ends up being a little too much, sometimes a little too small. Kind of just probably depends more on along the lines of if I'm dehydrated that day or not. And then I'm going to do the same type of loop on this end as I did on the other side. And like I did on the other side, I always twirl inwards. And then I'm making sure that the tip of the memory wire, because right now it's actually kind of getting messed up. Whoops. Trying to get that tip of the memory wire to twirl around a little bit and not get stuck. There we go. It was the tip of the memory wire was getting stuck up against the memory wire that I was trying to roll around, so it wasn't moving at all. But anyways, so now I got it fixed. So now the tip of the in-memory wire is up there at the top again, just like we did at the very beginning. So I'm putting it back in the pliers, and then I'm going to push backwards a little bit and make yourself a little right angle weave portion. Not right angle. Where did that come from? You get a right angle to make it look more like a shepherd's hook. Ooh, I got right angle weave on my brain because that's one of my next projects I want to work on. So that is your memory wire done. Now you can always leave it like this if you like to, but I'm going to go ahead and add this cute little cherry charm to this. So I'm getting out 2 sets of pliers. I have just an oval jump ring here. Don't have to use an oval jump ring if you don't want to. I just chose this one just because I had it out for from another project. So I just opened up the memory wire by twisting it open. That's not memory wire. That is a jump ring. Oh my. Okay, so I opened up the jump ring by twisting it open. I think it's time for me to stop recording. Putting on my jump ring to the memory wire, then put the charm on, and then we're going to twist this back closed. And then now you have a cute little memory wire bracelet that is made of your chocolate chip ice cream and your peach ice cream beads from the Ice Cream Shop collection of Bargain Bee Box from July 2025. And then with our cute little charm down there on the bottom. So there is a completed bracelet. I hope you had fun scooping up this design with me. If you're ready to make your own, check out the links in the description below. I've listed all the extra seed beads I used so you can bead along step by step. More designs are on the way from this box, so stick around, hit subscribe, and until then, keep beading and keep cranking.